that we got for you guys.
This is Fernehalwes.
This is Naoki Yoshida.
And you're listening to Aetheryte Radio.
And you are listening to Aetheryte Radio. Here we go!
Alright, hello and welcome to Aetheryte Radio, Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm Fusion X, and joining me today we have Dr. Mog. What's going on?
What up, Internet?
That's my line.
That's the generic phrase that we're using from now on whenever we introduce each other, right?
Whenever we have like posters or anything that we put out, it'll just say, "What up, Internet?"
It's a good catchphrase. I don't know. I like it.
It's not bad. All right, so tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about last week's E3. I was over in LA, got to see all the community guys, talked with Yoshida a little bit. So we'll jump right into that, our interview with director-producer Naoki Yoshida. Keep in mind, too, our interview was literally right before their live stream on day 3, so there is a teeny bit of overlap. So our first question was asking him about fishing, how it's going to work and when we'll be able to try it. He says fishing will be available starting in Phase 4 of the beta test, and players can check it out then. We've mentioned before in the Producer Letter Live, but the concept is that we didn't want to make it action-based. We didn't want actions like Battle Class has or to be pressing buttons at certain times like it was originally. They want to have players just go to a lake or a river or an ocean, and depending on what type of water it is and maybe what time of day it is, choose a rod that you want to use and maybe what bait or lure you're going to use. And the concept is that fishing is supposed to be a conversation with nature, so they want to make fishing in 14 to be representative of that. We really wanted it to be something that you can do in your free time. For example, maybe you go into Duty Finder, and while waiting in the queue, you can change to Fisher and fish for a little bit, and then when your number comes up, change back and go. Or if you're waiting on a friend to log in or something like that. So you're able to do something in the downtime that's fun but relaxing. And we raised the question of, are there any actions? A lot of people, and we did ask some of you guys to send us ideas for questions to ask. Some people were concerned about RMT activity if there weren't any actions, if it was very, really relaxed and almost automated in the sense that may not be good. And Yoshida said that even now, RMT can create bots to get around the timing of actions. So what they don't want is to have fishing become stressful. It's supposed to be a relaxing thing. Pressing extra buttons for actions is going to create that stress. We're going to make sure that the stuff that you get from fishing is not stuff that's going to be lucrative for RMT. So they want to make this system as relaxing as possible. What they want for fishing is to be more about what you've done. So maybe achievements for catching certain sizes of fish, or having a log that keeps track of your own collection of what you've caught, or how big of a fish you've caught before, whether you fished in all the fishing spots and stuff like that. That's not to say that we're not thinking of other things. For example, maybe you fish up a treasure map and that map leads to a new quest. They are planning things like that. So do you have this? You want to go do the next one, Mark?
Yeah, I think we should talk about this stuff a little bit. I mean,
sure.
That's like good info because we're getting an overhaul for fishing, like a serious overhaul. It's not like it's going to be like botany or mining is currently in a Realm Reborn. It's going to be different. So I don't know how people are going to react to that. I think that some people actually enjoyed the 1.0 fishing.
So far, I've seen
myself.
A lot of mixed reactions. Some people are like, "This is really good," and other people are like, "This is horrible." Like we should.
Well, people hate change.
Yeah.
People just hate change. I took fishing all the way to 50, and I enjoyed it enough that I'd watch Netflix or whatever while I was doing it. But I guess it could be boring. I don't know. I think that if fishing is just going to be like go stand somewhere and hit a button and it's just going to catch fish for you, that might turn some people off.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, the second thing you got to talk to Yoshida. I'm jealous, by the way. So jealous you got to meet him and chat with him. And so did you have him sign your chest or anything? Because that would have been
I did not.
I
actually as he was he'd go out on the floor occasionally, and he would do autographs and stuff. And this one guy came up and showed him like a chocobo tattoo like on his bicep, and I was like waiting for him to like ask him to like sign his arm so he would like get it tattooed or something, but he didn't.
And then tattoo over the signature so that it's a perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be nuts.
That would be sweet. In the last live letter, when you were showing off the Chocobo companion, it looked like there were Mamulja and Lanosia. Were those Mamulja? Why they are in FFXIV, and what role do they play?
Did I seriously type that?
Yeah, that's
oh
okay.
Oh wow, I did. Typo. Woohoo! Nice. I gotta go fix that.
Well, they were Mamulja, and then one of the concepts in developing FXIV is to bring the flavor of other Final Fantasy games. And we have a lot of monsters from not just Final Fantasy XI, but also 12, some from 13 and past games in the series as well. But that's not to say we're randomly picking monsters. They will all have their own backstory. So, for example, the Mamulja, there will be quests and explain why they are in Eorzea. So that's pretty sweet. I think they're pulling a lot of stuff from a lot of other Final Fantasies, and monsters is a good way to bring back old nostalgia, I suppose.
Well, I mean, we've already seen, Clippers and, Mandragoras and stuff like that. But the difference here is that the Mamulja in 11 were a Beastmen race, like one of the Beastmen races, right? So that was our next question. In 11, they were one of the big Beastmen races. Are they going to have a role similar to that in 14? And Yoshida goes, no. Their presence isn't as large as the other beast tribes in Eorzea, or Eorzea rather. But that doesn't mean that over the next few patches and updates that they won't develop a stronger presence in Eorzea, and maybe getting strong enough to maybe summon their own maybe primal, maybe.
So confirmed.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think that's great. The progressive storyline.
Interested to see which primal they summon.
I want to see. I know that everybody loved the Quadovs and the Mamulja, but I really like the Yagodos from Windurst because I was from Windurst. I hope they add those somewhere in.
Yeah,
I liked them a lot. Big bird people.
Well, we kind of have that already with the Ixali, right?
They're not feathers, man. They're just.
They kind of do, don't they?
Do they? I don't think they have feathers, man.
They're not like covered in feathers, but I think they have some feathers.
They seem scaly to me.
Maybe.
I haven't looked closely at them.
It's been a while since I've seen them, so.
Maybe they're just.
Oh, there's Anuel in the chat. They lost their feathers. There's our lore expert. So they did have feathers at one point.
Ninja Turtles from Bastock, yeah. The Quadov, did I see them, or is it just my imagination? Did I see them in a video, the Crystal's Call trailer? I think I saw...
The Quadov?
Yeah, I think I saw a Quadov in a video, something recently.
I have to go back and look now.
I'm going to have to watch some stuff again, but I think I saw a Quadov.
Could
All
be.
right. Next question. Let's see. Can you tell us about Summoner? What type of role it will have in a party? Do you envision it to be healer, attacker, or support? Closer to an attacker, but different than the other type of attackers you have seen in the other jobs and classes in 14. The Summoner himself will be concentrating more on damage over time, spells, and buffing spells, so bardish maybe. The summon, and you won't be summoning, for example, Ifrit himself, but will be summoning a different form of Ifrit, which they are calling Ifrit Eggy, which you might recognize from 12, this is just a note from me. I'm hoping they're going to stick with what the English translation for Eggy was. Will be used in a different way as well, so it will be an attack type of job, but it's going to be a little different. They called them Aeon, right? Or Eons? Eon? What were they called in 12? I think they were Espers. They were Espers in...
Right.
Yeah, in 12. I hope that they go with that name because Eggy is
it seems like
kind of silly in English.
Yeah.
I hope they
mean like a little like egg or something. Like that's what I would call like the chocobo minion,
yeah,
right? Like
the
an
minion.
eggy, right?
Yeah, yeah. I hope they change that to Espers for English and other localization. But that's just preference. But that's awesome that Summoner is going to be a little bit like the damage over time, bit of pet stuff, a little bit of buffing. So they sound flexible, which is neat.
Yeah, and that was the next bit of our question too. Is are they actually full blown pets, or is it you use an attack or an ability and they kind of pop up for a minute, do their thing, and disappear, and that is a pet, so they will be around after you summon them, so they'll be walking around and stuff, which is cool.
And your follow-up question wasn't, do they have a perpetuation cost? Come on, man. I'm just messing. Yeah, I'd like to know if they have a perpetuation cost.
That's a good question. That is a good question. Yeah.
You should do a follow-up.
We had one follow-up, unfortunately. That was all we got.
That's it?
It was a good one, though.
It was.
We'll get to that.
That's the best one. All right.
Yeah.
We've seen the housing information in the live letter, and we have a few questions. Can you upgrade the size of the house you already own, or do you need to buy a new house? The size of the house, yes, you can upgrade it, so that's awesome. But you purchase land and build the house on the land. So if you purchase a small plot of land, you're limited to basically a small house. The size of your house is limited to the size of your land. So if you buy a small plot of land and you want to build a house bigger than the plot of your land, you'll have to sell the land and buy a bigger plot. So that's cool that you can buy the large plot of land in preparation for a large house, but put a small one on there for now if you don't have enough money or the materials to craft it or something. So that's cool that it's flexible a bit.
Yeah. And you can also sell the house as well. It's not just the land. So within the house system, you actually have two things that you own. You own that land and you own the house, and you can sell both of those.
So can you keep the house and sell the land?
That's a good question. Do you just put the house in your pocket and move it over to another plot of land? I don't know.
Everything fits in one square in your inventory. That's how this game works now. Everything.
Yeah.
Your house, icon in your inventory.
It could be. Who knows?
It's a good question.
I mean, it could either be the house and just goes, you equip it to the land, or maybe it's one of those things where if you sell the land, the house goes with it. We don't know. We're not sure.
I can't wait to see the housing, man. I'm really excited about it.
I'm so pumped for housing.
It's too bad it wasn't in last weekend's beta test phase, because I would have loved to see some examples, even if you couldn't buy them or anything. Just the zone was open and some houses were there.
Just have the model.
Yeah.
Right. You just walk in and check it out.
I think that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. There has been talk about free company housing. How will you determine who can access the house or who can change the elements of the house? Is that something that's limited to free companies, or is it something you can share with friends? So the housing system will have its own separate UI widget. That's cool. Will have all of your options. It will have access options where you can say only allow free company access or free companies and those free companies who have made alliances with, or want anyone to be able to come in, or want no one to be able to come in. That type of customization will be there to support the housing system. Of course, free companies will also have their own chests where you can put loot and money. So really flexible, it sounds like, which is great. Yeah. They're definitely not half-assing the housing or the free company.
No, not at all.
Permissions and stuff, so that's good.
And then we asked if, because he talks about all the different accesses, if house access carries over to everything in the house. So, for example, hey, your friends can come in your house. Does that mean that they can also get in your chest and stuff? And he says the chest access is going to be separate from house access. It's going to be very, very detailed. But who decides on who gets access? That's what the free company will decide. So everyone in the free company will have ranks and associated access, and the leader decides who gets which rights. So if someone's been given the right to change access, you can. But if you haven't been given that right, then you might be in the free company, but with more limited access to stuff in the house.
That's awesome. Coming from somebody who's trying to run a free company here, that is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that too. We're going to add windows. Oh wait, I didn't ask the question. In a live letter, you showed the question. You showed the different sizes of houses. Some of the rooms were dark and didn't see any windows. We know there's a lot of customization you can do to the house. Our windows are part of that, and they're going to add windows. It'll be nice and bright. I think in the last live letter they showed us there were windows, but you couldn't see outside. Some people were commenting that they'd like to be able to actually see some space outside the window instead of just a light. But yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to add windows depending on the type of the house there too. So
you can have the next question. That wasn't even really a question.
That's true. All right. Because of legacy subscribers and regional data centers, people will be moving around different worlds or servers. Do you have anything in place to ensure that a whole link shell can move before a world fills up. There's a lot of people worried that they'll say, okay, our link shell's moving to this world, and half of them will move over, and then the server fills up or something, and they're not all able to move. And he says this is difficult. We don't want to reserve spots for groups that might move because we don't know who is going to move. But what we will do is let players know server information before. So like this server still has this many spots, or maybe just has a lot of spots, and the other server is almost full. So it'll be on the link shell to where they're going to move. If you have like 100-person link shell to move to a server that we're telling you is almost full, and you only get half in, well then that's your fault for not choosing one that we said there was a lot of room on. So you're just going to have to look at the link or the server list and see how full it is, and hopefully everybody gets in. They also say we know in World of Warcraft there was a system to move whole guilds to new servers. So if that was the case, we're going to look into having something that could possibly do that for link shells in the future.
So if all of a link shell decides to hop to another server, they can just
you gotta pay
queue together and go.
You gotta be careful, but I mean I don't foresee a whole lot of people having problems doing that. But,
I just hope there's space, for all the link shells, because it's going to stink that, if one server has got a high pop and half ends up on that server and then it's full or something. So
yeah,
hopefully they work that out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't plan it this way, but now I've got the awesome question.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of like, man, I want to do that question.
You can do the last one then, no matter what. In Japan, it was recently announced that there would be a release of the Before Meteor soundtrack. On Twitter, Soken mentioned that if people imported it, they could use the code for the download minion regardless of region. Can you confirm that? And Yoshida went on to say, I don't think it was confirmed yet, but we can confirm that the Beyond Meteor soundtrack will be available soon for other regions from the Square Enix store, so there's no reason to buy the $100 import to get the minion. We want to get across to players, so don't worry, and it is my personal policy not to have items that are region specific, except that, what was it, the 25th anniversary thing?
Though we did ask about that back in February, and they said they did realize that set was really popular, and they were looking into maybe bringing it over to North America, but they didn't confirm anything. They were looking into it.
Okay, I was just commenting that you can only get in America, or only get in Japan, or only get if you go on this one event in Switzerland or wherever. We don't want to do that. We can't say in the next 10 years we'll never do that because we don't know what will happen. But my personal policy is to not have things like that. So that's good. At least they're trying. I mean, not everything's perfect.
Yeah,
but
I wanted to almost like if our interview time wasn't so like short, like I would have gotten up right there and just like give him a high five or something. I was so happy.
Just go give him a hug.
I told him too. That's our next little bit here. As being a long time Final Fantasy XI player, I've had to import a lot of Final Fantasy XI stuff over the years. So them making the extra effort to try and get everything into all the different regions was very appreciated. And he says, something like that can really put people off from a game. So we're playing, we're all playing on the same servers and playing the same game, but these certain people get advantages and we don't. That can turn people off, and we don't want to do that. So they want to make everything as fair across all regions as they can, which I think is really, really awesome.
Is that the question? Yeah, all right. Are there any future plans for minions in WoW? No? What, did I miss one?
Yeah, you did.
What is the lore aspect? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. All right. I'm scrolling all over the place. So, what is the lore aspect? Yeah, I know you want that question. All right. What is the lore aspect for minions? It seems strange that you come back 5 years later and see bombs and pointy fingers following players around. How do they fit into the world? Yoshida says, okay, this is the first reveal here. Think of them as toys. This is a master crafter. There's a master crafter NPC somewhere in the world creating these toys, and his story will be told in the future. So you find out who's creating these minions and what they're for and why he's creating them. So, big puppeteer hand.
Right. It's not just like, oh, we just have pets to have pets. They don't really, because everything in 14, they've been really good about the lore and how they incorporate everything. So, there has to be a reason behind minions, right? And so, I hope
he's named Geppetto.
That'd be good. So yeah, they're all toys. We're all just walking around with toys now, I guess. And then we asked if there are any future plans for minions. In World of Warcraft, some of you guys might be familiar. They had that system where you could battle pets. So we asked if anything like that was in the works. And they say we have a lot of minions planned. So for us, we don't want this to have too big of a footprint in the game, because some will be from events and different things, and if they were really useful in the game, and some people that don't have them will be at a disadvantage. So like if the Dalmud minion could cast like Meteor or something, if they had like minion battles, that might be a little unfair, right? We don't want to create that unfairness. We want it to be more of a fun thing. We saw how they did in fighting pets in WoW, and I thought it was really just Pokemon. But, maybe people like Pokemon. We are looking at having the companions like the Chocobos or Magitech Armors battle. Would you rather have like 2 little airships or 2 fingers fighting? We think that players want to see Chocobos and Magitech fighting, so we will put in our efforts there.
Nice. You get the next one too.
All right. And this was our follow-up. Like we said, our interview was right before their live letter on the 3rd day, where they released all the Scholar info. So we didn't ask any Scholar questions, but we did manage to get, I think, what was the big question left unanswered after their live stream. With Scholar coming from Arcanist, how will leveling work? Will getting Arcanist to 50 give you both a level 50 Summoner and Scholar? Will you have to choose between Summoner or Scholar? How is that going to work? And Yoshida told us that leveling Arcanist to 50 will give you both a level 50 Scholar and Summoner. However, you will need to complete job-specific quests to acquire certain Scholar and Summoner abilities and actions. So basically, if you level Arcanist, it's like a buy one, get one free on jobs. You'll get both Summoner and Scholar at 50. And then you just got to quest the abilities out and you're done.
That's good.
Which is cool. It's nice. Because I think the nice part too about it is, obviously there's going to be some similarities because they come from the same class, but I think Summoner and Scholar are different enough that you can put in. You still have to put in work to get them leveled right and get the abilities and stuff, but it offers a little more variety, especially if you don't have a lot of time. If you're a more casual player, level Arcanist, and then you get 2 jobs that you can kind of fit into whatever you're playing. So that's kind of nice.
Well, instead of the focus being leveling, it sounds like the focus by allowing that is then going to be actually playing those classes or jobs and
it's the going
and gearing them up and stuff. Yeah, so they're taking the focus off leveling, which was absolutely terrible when 14 first came out with the horizontal, surplus XP junk. So I'm glad that they're reducing the amount of XP required and making it a little easier to get some flexibility in the players, and they can do both Summoner and Scholar by leveling Arcanist to 50. Well, all 3 actually. So yeah, it's good. Really nice. It's a good change.
And so speaking of Scholar, let's go into a little bit of detail here. We do have some new info about Scholar. It's a pet class, which is weird. But, if you'd asked everybody,
fairy pet class.
Yeah, it has a fairy. What? Scholar's never had a pet. That's weird.
Yeah.
And they announced this, and it was funny. I was actually right outside the booth as they were streaming this. I'm sitting there thinking, that's not very Final Fantasy. Like, what is that? Like a pet class for Scholar? Okay, whatever. But Scholar is going to be more of a healer, it sounds like. So
it's the hot healer. Heals over time, lower, smaller over time.
Regen buffs for everybody.
Yeah, regen kind of thing, sure.
Yeah. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And then White Mage is the big heavy hitter healer.
Yeah.
Large numbers, slower cast times, that kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. So it'll be cool to see how they all work. I know.
I want to know how a fairy pet class is going to heal. That's going to be interesting. Is it like AI, or is when you use an ability, does the fairy do the action?
That's another question. These are. We'd asked about the Eggies and how they work, and they are actual. They're separate pets and stuff. So you would also think that the fairy is too. So then, what does the fairy do? Does the fairy heal? Who knows?
The fairy just buzzes around your head and says, "Hey, listen!" over and over and over again. That's all it does.
Let's go, modding community, make it happen.
It's like day 2 when Scholar gets released.
Right.
It'll be a mod.
The regen sound is just, "Hey,
Every time the sound goes off,
Yes.
the DATs are going to get modded, so it goes, listen.
That would
Oh
be
no.
great. That would be great.
I would do it for a little while,
Let's
and then I would
figure it
get.
out. And then you'd get so annoyed of it. It's like, hey, Mug, we need a scholar. You want to come? No, I don't. I don't want to come scholar.
Can you imagine a whole party of scholars?
My sanity can't take it. Oh, geez.
Like a 24-man raid, we all just go scholar. It's like,
that'd be awesome.
Hey, listen.
Oh man.
Oh, we could piss off Bahamut so bad. He just leaves, sticks his fingers in his
throw
ears
a bunch
and
of
leaves.
fairies at him. But yeah, I'm excited to try out Arcanist, Summoner, and Scholar. I know when 2.0 drops, that's, I think, instead of, well, obviously, like, I'm gonna get caught up with all my other jobs and get the abilities unlocked and stuff, but I'm gonna hop on Arcanist and kind of go through the leveling paths, I think, with that, which is really
I think
nice
everybody is probably going to do that has at least a few jobs leveled, because they've seen the others and either didn't play them for a reason or, already did, so everybody is going to be a summoner, scholar,
and the nice thing too, a lot of people were, made the joke of, once 2.0 hits, everyone's going to be walking around with carbuncles, but at least now at 30, right, we'll be able to have a little bit of variation. Maybe we'll see some eggies and maybe we'll see some fairies and stuff.
That's true. It'll split.
That kind of helps that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, at 30, we're gonna have Arcanists leveling to 50, Summoners leveling to 50, and Scholars leveling to 50, not just Arcanists going to 50. So yeah, I forgot about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, that'll be a nice little mix there.
And I gotta say though, one thing about Summoner, because I loved Summoner, it was my favorite job in 11. The Eggies, the one that we saw from the video, Ifrit, or Eggy Ifrit, he looks so pitiful and sad and teeny. I hope that there are bigger versions. Did you see the concept art? It looks so big. It's like all over the summoner's head, and there's another one with like the big hand in the way, and it's like such a badass thing, and you've got this little like floating red rock next to you. It's like,
well, there's two images that we've seen. One is the artwork that they released a while back, and then there's the new render, which is from the game, which is the one with the hand that kind of wraps around. That's actually from the game. So
yeah, but it's just closer to the camera, and that's why it looks bigger.
Right.
Which sucks, because I was hoping it was like that big,
Yeah.
I
don't know,
but
we'll see.
Yeah, I wonder.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to play, if anything.
Phase 3 was awesome, by the way. I did a little review over on my channel, and I was trying to be really critical because I think a lot of people appreciate, the good and the bad. But I could say it here. I fucking loved it. Absolutely loved Phase 3. I had really high expectations going into it, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah,
I played it for like a whole hour.
An hour?
An hour. I got back.
You get to make your character.
I got back Saturday night, and I was so tired, but I'm like, I have to play at least a little bit. So I downloaded it, and I played for like an hour before I just passed out.
Nice.
But what I did play was nice. I really, little improvements here and there so far. So this weekend I'll totally be jumping in. Which brings us to, actually, we did talk about the actual E3, did we? Like what they did.
The floor and the Ifrit fight and stuff.
All that stuff, yeah. So
I have to interject here. I heard you won a T-shirt.
I did.
On the floor by winning.
I was the second win of the first day.
So second, you could say world second.
World second of an 8-man,
4-person actual fight. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's still cool.
Yeah. But Ifrit, it's so much smoother now. Like it plays really well. It was bad because we went over there and they give you the little presentation. Hey, check out the new trailer. Here's the kind of basis of MMOs. Like, this guy's the tank. This is the healer. This is if you see fire under you, move. How to win Ifrit.
Don't stand in the fire.
Yeah, don't stand in the fire. And so we get out there and they're like, all right, just pick a station and then we'll get to it. And the only one that was open when I walked out was Conjurer, and I'm just sitting there going, oh no. Because I'm not, you guys know me, I'm not really big on mage classes usually, especially healers, because I don't like the pressure.
You didn't even level it to 50
party
in
alive.
place.
To be fair though, I did get it up there a little bit. I think my
what do you like, 35?
I think it's like 35 or something.
So So we're out raiding, and you're never healing.
Right. Maybe I'll heal you with my magic little fairy.
Oh yeah, you're gonna
scholar
it up this time around.
I don't know if I'm smart enough to be scholar. We'll see. I do want to check out Summoner though. I really do. It looks cool. Anyway, so we get out there and sure enough, our 8-man party, our other conjurer dies. So I'm healing the end by myself, and then the fetter pops up the spike. So I'm like stoning it, like trying to get it down, because like, everyone, there's a lot of people there. They don't know what they're doing, right? So I'm like, we have to get this thing down. I want my shirt. I'm gonna nuke this thing on Conjurer, and sure enough, second win of the day, which is really cool. So guy whose group actually lost. So we got out, and I'm like, "Where's your shirt?" He's like, "We didn't win."
Oh,
I was like, "Oh come on,
man."
I was joking. I was joking with him as we went in when I saw that I had to be Conjurer. I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna lose, and Mog's gonna find out. And he's gonna like boot me from the shell. It's gonna be horrible." But we won. So
that's awesome, man. That's so great. What was I gonna say? How long was the line for when you were there?
When I got there on day one, we were like the first people there. It opened at day one opened at noon, and the first day they gave out tickets for time, so you could come get a ticket and then come back later. And I got in for 1:30. The third day, when we got there, because we were talking with the community guys and everybody over at SC, so that would be kind of our first stop every day, just to go and say hi and stuff like that. The second or third day we went there, the line was wrapped around the front of the booth. This is my third year at E3, and I have never seen a line at the Square Enix booth. And the line was about 5 to 6 hours long.
Holy crap!
And keep in mind, people, this is an industry event. This isn't anything like PAX where anybody can come, and these are all people involved with, reporting on games or making games or all industry stuff. So to have a line that long is just crazy.
Well, that says a lot for the game. I think it won best MMO. At the air.
Destructoid gave it best MMO of the show. And it was, we were walking around the booth and we saw the community team. We saw Kamate or Devin up there, and we were like, "Is this whole line like for you guys?" Like, so that's great. So
yeah,
they had a really strong showing at the show this year. So it's good stuff. They were actually they were sponsoring free Wi-Fi at E3 too. They had a free if you had a laptop or anything, you could go online and connect to like Final Fantasy XIV Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They dropped a lot of advertising at E3 this year. A lot.
Well,
it was on everything.
People say that like, "Oh, look at all the advertising you're doing for this game." But something to note too for people that aren't as familiar with E3, that don't watch it every year. They had the banners, they had the hotel key cards. Square Enix has always done that, like every year. They'll have the banners over the main hall. Usually they have stairs. They'll do something on the stairs. But a lot of people were watching it this year for 14. But yeah, it's nothing outside the norm as far as what they usually do in terms of advertising for E3. But everywhere you were was either Lightning Returns or Final Fantasy XIV stuff, which is really good. So
that's cool. I'm glad they're making a big push. I know they said they usually do that at E3, but it seems like they're doing the right things here to make sure that it succeeds. So
definitely.
Every time on the Ifrit fight thing that you were talking about, every time we saw it on the live stream, they failed. Like all 3 times, all 4 times, they were every one of them failed. It was a little distressing actually, because nobody was attacking the nails, or what do they call it this time now?
The fetter.
The fetter.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it was. We were like yelling at the screen in TeamSpeak, man. It was crazy.
I know it was bad, because obviously you get in there, you want a shirt, right? Because it's the shirt, it's the shirt, and so
that must have made people so upset that on one of the streams that we saw, the archer that was in the party was like, kill the fetter," like in all caps and like 4 or 5 lines of it, and nobody was attacking it except the archer, and I'm sure that guy walked away so mad.
Yeah, it was funny. We were getting set up. They actually pulled you into the fight with Duty Finder. So, we're just kind of sitting there gathering around, and, already in the chat before we even get in there, I'm like, when the thing pops, you guys need to kill it. because I want my shirt. So I mean, I was comboing stone on it. I'm like, all right, we got to get this thing down. And sure enough, like, and as we were playing, we were like, oh, first win of the day. The other group had beaten it. I'm like, oh man, we got to do this. So it was cool. So it was a lot of fun. Let's see, what else do we have?
The video that they showed you before you did the effort fight, that was you've posted that on the Gamerscape YouTube page, so we can see some of that. But there was a lot of noise in the background. Was that like right next to the line, or
what it was is the way that they had their booth set up. Usually, and this is usually the case, is they'll have they have their big screen, and then on either side of that they'll have theaters. And so it's basically just a wall, and then the top is open. And so a lot of noise comes in, and they were doing their commentary and stuff, so a lot of that was coming. And just in general, the floor is usually pretty noisy, right? Because everyone's blasting their stuff. So unfortunately, yeah, it was really loud. But
they gave you all headphones and sat you down, right? Because I think
they do give you headphones, yeah. So
that's good.
They didn't give me headphones for my phone though, unfortunately. So
yeah, no, because the video was like, you couldn't even tell what he was saying. I mean, it
was bad, but I'm like, you know what? I'll upload it anyway. Why not? So,
yeah, no, it was good to see, because nobody watching the stream. I mean, a lot of us were camping the stream, and it really didn't show much. There was like one cam watching the booth, and then like here and there we'd see some live stream footage of the actual Ifrit fights, and that was mostly it. There was their sit down table, round table, I was calling it, and that was interesting because they talk about a myriad of things, but we didn't get to see much of the actual E3 floor. So
yeah,
I was I'm glad you uploaded something, brought the camera.
I can only do so much, but I did what I could. We do have another video out, which actually shows, and we've been playing it a little bit throughout this episode, of Yoshida actually participating in the Ifrit challenge and doing some commentary. That's a separate video that we do have up on the YouTube page as well. So make sure to go check that out. Some good stuff. A lot of people love it, seeing him out there and just playing the game and chatting with fans and stuff. And a couple times too, he would just come out and he would just start signing autographs and stuff, which was crazy because you'd have just a swarm of people around him. And for a trade show, that's really cool to see that. So speaking of shirts, we have two. I believe
you have two extra.
They're large or XLs. I forget what size they are. However, we have two shirts, and they are autographed by Naoki Yoshida.
Even better. Holy shit.
So we are going to give them out. We don't have all the details yet. One of those shirts will be only available for supporters of Gamerscape. And we put up a post talking a little bit about that this week. So make sure to check that out. The other one is going to be up for grabs for anybody. So it's not like we're just giving them to people that supported us. So one is going to be for them, one will be for everybody else. So before everybody starts going, oh my god, premium stuff, don't worry about it. You'll have a shot at one too. Wiki stuff, we are starting up the wiki now that NDA has lifted. We do have tutorials up for some of the pages, or some of the templates rather. I think actions and traits. So while you're playing this weekend, guys, if you want, obviously we're not gonna hold a gun to your head and say do it. We would love.
I might.
I might. Okay. So Mug might. But if you have time, come edit the wiki. We're in IRC all the time. There's a link on the top of the nav bar there for chat. We have the forums for the wiki if you have questions. So obviously this is a community effort. There's only so much that a handful of us can do. So the more people we get in here, the better it can be. So we definitely appreciate everybody that gives us a hand with that.
I'll be on there as much as I can.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I think that's about it. Did you want to talk about? You already kind of covered beta impressions a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to be, fairly balanced on what I was saying about it, but I absolutely loved it. You've got to play it. Everyone has to play it. It was so good. There was little things that were just here and there, but it's for beta 3, it's great. I mean, it's ahead of where I think it should be for the phase it's currently in, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend because I really want to play my old character.
Yeah, I miss my old character. For the last 2 phases, I've missed my old character. I'm like, man, I'm getting these little crappy bows. I want my Garuda bow back, and
I want to see the the dark light armor and all the primal weapons and stuff in the new engine.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the AF,
really cool.
and mess around in the jobs. Oh, I'm just excited. I want to play.
Yeah, I am very excited for this weekend. So yeah, get in this weekend and maybe take some screenshots, quests, items, all that stuff. We need to get into the wiki. So any help will be definitely appreciated for that, guys. So thanks in advance for anybody that helps. I think that'll do it. So I know Mog's going to cut out here, and we do have some special audio. We talked with Michael-Christopher Koji Fox, otherwise known as Fernehalwes, on the forums. He's the big lore guy, the localization guy, and we talked with him about pronunciations and stuff. So I guess we'll go ahead and roll that, guys. And thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you back here, I don't know, week, 2 weeks, and we'll talk a little bit more about beta impressions, I think. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.
Peace.